Well, good evening. Wow. First things first, I knew I should have printed more. Someone told me I shouldn't print as many as I thought I was going to, but we're going to run out of bulletins. So could you do me a favor? One of two things. Either keep it and be honest about it, or number two, just return them back at the back and we'll give you another one tomorrow when you come in. Whatever works for you. Honor system, but we only printed 300 for the weekend. And so I just want to make sure that, now if you want to keep it as a souvenir, just make sure you bring it back so that we can have room for others to give tomorrow. All right, that's the first thing. Number two, I can tell you already that we plan on starting this at 7. It's almost 10 after. So, Umbrella of Mercy by Mark and Pam. Mark and Pam brought us a saying that says Umbrella of Mercy. So, anytime you wanted to say something and not be chastised for it. So, some of you may have to leave at 8:30. I get it. And we want you to do what you have to do. But I'm just warning you ahead of time that we don't want to rush these beautiful moments. And so we might be here till 9 o'clock. So just giving you a kind of a heads up. And the last thing I want to say here is, and I'll say it again, I have never been to a church where we have had all of the former pastors together. I've never been to any church. Lori and I went to a church in Honolulu about 2 years ago, and they had a 75th anniversary, and they brought one pastor. Of course, I guess 75 is a long time. So I hadn't thought that one through until just now. Anyway, it was a nice celebration, but it was just one person's perspective, and he had been there eons and eons and eons ago. And but to have all 6 pastors, former pastors, and you'll hear a lot more about the history of this church. God has tremendously blessed this church. And I hope that you see at the bottom of the front of your program that this church has been proclaiming the everlasting gospel through the urgency of the 3 angels' messages. We just finished a beautiful Daniel seminar with our pastor, Chuck Holtree. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I was just so glad to be a part of it. But I love the passion in which Seventh-day Adventists preach the coming of Jesus and the soon coming of Jesus and the everlasting gospel. And we're very fortunate to have that perspective and to encourage our neighbors and friends to enjoy the beauty of that. But to have these 6 pastors, I'm telling you, I hope that you see throughout this weekend, it's going to be hang on tight, because before you know it, it's just going to be over. It's just going to be done. But the effort that they made to come and to be a part of this and to contribute, each one of them in their own right could have a whole weekend. We could have a whole weekend with just one of them. But to have them all here together, I hope you see that the planning committee tried to keep everything fair and balanced, but involved. And so we're not going to have time to hear everything that we'd like to. We've tried to make it possible for you to hear it. But there will be plenty of time after potluck, tonight if they want to hang around, tomorrow after the meeting, whatever. Just take advantage and learn of the character of these pastors and their wives. No pastor is without a solid wife. We've appreciated every one of the wives that have been here, and we just appreciate the ministry that they brought. So without any further ado, I'm going to say one more bit of housekeeping. I may get flack for this, but we do kind of need to keep some semblance of order. So I'm going to stand at the back, and there's 15 minutes per pastor. When you have 5 minutes left, I'll just stand back and go 5 and then 2. So just kind of, I didn't bring my machete, George. Steve. Where's the hook for Charlie? Thank you. That's a great son-in-law that just mentioned that. So, all right. Without further ado, let's just have a word of prayer and let's begin the evening. Father in heaven, we appreciate so much the presence of this church, its ministry to our community. We thank you for each pastor that has served and loved this congregation and their beautiful spouses and families. We have been indeed blessed and are continuing to be blessed by all of them. And we just pray that you will be with our weekend and just give us a taste of heaven on what it will be like to be together for eternity, is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So you can see that the general feeling here, and let me just read it, that this evening we want pastors to share their memory highlights, some unique happenings, spiritual growth, special church member encounters that stand out, and where they went from here onward. I have no idea what they're going to say. They're going to surprise us all. And we're going to start in order. And so we're going to start with George Whitsett. And George, you have the time, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to you. And it's 7:15.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here at the Cape Cod Church. It has been so exciting to see each of you this evening and be able to reminisce about our time when we were here, 81 to 86. We have really been impressed how the Lord has blessed this church. It's beautiful, all that you've done to remodel the church, the beautiful Refresh Center. I'm just so thankful the way the Lord has blessed you here and has provided all of these things so that you can continue to present the everlasting gospel. But 50 years of providing the good news from this place, from this sanctuary, is quite an accomplishment. And you know, it's wonderful to see those that were here way back when we were there. I guess I'm the oldest of the pastors that are still living, and it makes me feel. Anyway, I think it was the gospel of the Apostle John that said, "I have no greater joy than to hear that keeping the faith, keeping the fire is going, making sure that it's a light on a hill, that people can come here and find Jesus. That's the greatest honor in all the world. Don't you believe so?" Well, to go back memory lane here, we were called here in 81, came here about the fall of 81. We were called by Stanley Steiner, who was the conference president at the time. And I remember flying into Logan and being put in a little motel in Clinton, Mass, and the conference president coming over to the motel to pick me up in the morning to bring me down to the Cape Church. And it was so exciting. I hadn't so many things as I turned the news on that night before coming down here. I thought, what's a 5-alarm fire? You know, what is different things, terminologies I hadn't heard before. And, you know, I thought, wow, you know, I was coming from south, going north, and I thought, wow, this is a whole new world. But we had traveled in New England before and just loved it so much. We were praying the whole time, of course, that the Lord would guide. My prior experiences before coming here, I'd been a literature evangelist for a year and a church school teacher for 2 years and a church pastor for 6 years when we came to the Cape Church. But I remember coming down and the first impressions. We came in, the conference president, myself, we came into the building and went over to the school section, and we met Kevin and Sherry. And Sherry came out and kind of gave me this look like, who are you, you know? And yeah, it happened, yeah, it did. And so I said, you know, I've heard really some wonderful things about the school. And she said, oh, you have? Oh, that helped a lot, to say that. But I was really impressed with Kevin and Sherry Wall. And I realized this young couple really had a great interest in the boys and girls. And I was thinking of my two boys back home, and I thought this would be such a wonderful place for them to come. And that had a lot to do with our coming. The conferences I was at, they offered another church here, and I was considering to move. They said, well, we'll give you this church over here. But we prayed so much, but I saw the school, and I met Charlie came in, and I was impressed with the young leadership. Charlie was the head elder here, I think 26 years old. At the time, I was 31. Almost told my age there, didn't I? Anyway. But, the young people that were in leadership here, that really was encouraging. I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I was impressed with the church. It was only 6 years old at that time. And I knew that the Lord could really bless here. And I just prayed that this would be the place that, if He wanted me here, that He would just open the doors and guide me here, which He did. And we've been thankful ever since for the opportunity to come to the Cape Church and experience all of you wonderful people. I remember several things about our experience here from 81 to 86. One, the school was really busy in operating a lot of fundraisers when we came, and they were very good at it. And they had the bread baking sales, as you remember, and certainly several were involved in that, and doing a great job making delicious bread. Remember taking it around to Lambert's down here and various places around to sell the bread. And a great job, but there was a lot of burden, I thought, on the school to come up with the funds to keep the school operating. And I thought, the church is really supporting, but it would really be a good idea if we had the church school in the church budget. And so, which would kind of ease the pressure on our teachers to have to continue to put so much time in fundraising. And so the church did vote to put the school on the church budget, and we started the personal giving plan while we were here, and that seemed to be a blessing, I think, to the school and to the church as well, of course. I remember conducting a lot of Bible studies while we were here all over the Cape. Can't remember exactly where all the leads came from, but there was always a lot of Bible studies going on, and that was always exciting to see so many that were interested in studying. We had 5-day plans to stop smoking, and Ed Latimer, Dr. Latimer, helped me with that. Susan Duenas helped me with that. Jeff Latimer helped me with that. Charlie Case helped me with that. We had several 5-day plans, and they were very successful, and it was exciting to see that community outreach. And we had it in the high school auditoriums as a rule. We had our first Bible worker here at the Cape Church. Charlie, you might know who that was. He hasn't been giving me this yet, so I guess we're all right. But Charlie Case became our Bible worker the year I was here, and he did a great job at that as well. We had moved here and moved into the little parsonage that was about 100 years old when we moved here. That was next door, about where the refresh center is, maybe at the far end of the refresh center, was the parsonage. It was a cedar shake house. Very comfortable, very nice little home, and we enjoyed it. It was really cool to have that New England flair. Jeff and Greg, our sons, had a chimney going up the middle of their bedroom upstairs. And we just thought that was really a neat place. But the garage, which was a separate building, leaked like a sieve. And so we asked the conference, is there any way that we could repair that garage? Because we'd like to put at least our lawn equipment and stuff in there. It was a dirt floor for the garage. And Stanley Steiner told me, he said, no, he said, we're not going to put any more money into that parsonage. Oh, you're not? Oh, okay. He said, we're thinking about the possibility of a new parsonage. I said, oh, okay. Well, long story short, they had us, Susan and I, to go around and find 7 houses that met their criteria that we could send the information to the conference and they could look at it. So they looked at the houses that we found. We went all over the place with a realtor and found these 7 houses. Well, the conference then narrowed it down to 3. And then Larry Davis, the conference treasurer, and I can't remember who the other gentleman was that came down with him, but they came and looked at the three houses that they had chosen would fit their criteria, and they settled on 99 Fuller Road, the parsonage. And so we were very happy with the parsonage there, and I think several of you pastors lived in that parsonage, and we enjoyed our time there, and the pool in the basement was kind of nice too, I thought. During rainy season, but that was a nice parsonage, and we really enjoyed being there. Whoops, I see that. Our good friend Charlie has gone to the back of the room. That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. So anyway, moving right along, but we had a number of occasions there at the 99 Fuller Road parsonage in Centerville. We had it was the New Year's Eve of 1983. Our daughter had just been born in August, and we had an open house for the church at the parsonage. And so we had, people came in different times, different hours during the evening, and it was a wonderful time. We had lots of refreshments. We had a wonderful time, and we sang together. Jeanette James stayed. Many of you remember the pianist we have here by the name of Jeanette James. And she stayed until 2 o'clock in the morning playing the piano and singing and just having the best of time. And it really was a great time. And we had Bob and Karen McDougall's wedding shower there as well. Hi there, Charlie. Nice to see you too. Pathfinder Club here was great. Our boys enjoyed being in the Pathfinder Club. Leslie Vecchione did a great job with that. I think Susan Coombs was also a leader in that as well. We had a Atlantic Union camporee while we were here, and I remember telling stories at that camporee for the Union camporee out at Nickerson State Park. We had a family camp while we were here up at Camp Winnipeg, and at that family camp, it was extra special in that I had the privilege of baptizing Terry Duenas and Jennifer and Jason Kazista. And that really put the icing on the cake to have that happen. Well, let's see, I only have 3 more pages, so we're going to... Okay. I remember we had evangelistic meetings here right downstairs in the basement. I had my little slide projector and my screen, and I remember I had a karaoke little thing, that little microphone, and I used that for sound. And well, we had some good results, though, and that was good. We had the church dedication while we were here. I remember the different refreshing of the church and repairs that were done and what have you to make that a very special time with the burning of the mortgage and celebrating the dedication of the church. It was a high weekend. It was a wonderful time together. I remember thinking to myself at that time, for burning the mortgage, it would be really nice to have the head elder of the church, representing the church, and the principal of the school, that they together would burn the mortgage, and they did, and I thought that was wonderful. That really made it special. Well, man, I could go on and on. Camp meeting time, I was in charge of the junior division for each of the 5 years we were here, and I had assistance of Bill Brace, who had a mini evangelistic meeting in the junior tent 1 year when he was there, and Bill Knott was assistant there at the junior tent as well. We had Project Steps to Christ that went out, and went to every household. We sent to many of the communities on the Cape. That was a busy time. And also, I remember various anointing services, such as U.S. Representative Hastings Keith, that Charlie and I went out and had and Charlie, I don't know who else went with us. I can't remember. Yeah. But we had Hastings Keith. He was a U.S. representative from 1959 to 1973. And we had the anointing service for his wife, who was experiencing cancer. And it meant a lot to them that we came out and did that. Our personal experiences here as well, our son Greg was baptized here, back here in the baptistry, and he was baptized in 1983. Our daughter Heather was born here at the Cape Cod Hospital, and our son Jeffrey graduated from the 8th grade here, well, those years, in 1986. Thanksgivings were a special time. We used to always go up to Plymouth for Thanksgiving. And the first year we went up there, see the pilgrim walk, what have you. The first year we went up there, thought, well, we'll go up there and we'll find a nice place to go out to eat, in Plymouth. That'd be kind of cool on Thanksgiving Day. Well, we went up there and found there was nothing but a 7-Eleven open. So, so I think we got some little cans of beans. Ate out by the water. It's kind of cold, though. But 2 years in a row, we had someone from Channel 5 come up. Here's our little family shivering there, by the church there in Plymouth. And 2 years in a row, Channel 5 came up to interview us and asked us, well, why are you here? Why are you enjoying this? And, what does this mean to you? That type of thing. So that happened. One of those times, Ed Wall, Kevin's dad, had fallen asleep in front of the television at news time, and he woke up and he saw me and saw our family on on the screen, and he thought, how in the world did he get on there? I always appreciate your dad, Kev, that he would always move us along with our board meetings. We'd have some kind of motion come up and say, move it, he'd say. And so, boy, it was just out of there fast. That was really good. I appreciated that. Well, let's see. I could say a lot of things, but things I've learned here. Well, of course, it was a continuation of honing pastoral skills and the idea of the community mindedness of the church here meant a lot, and I took that with me to share with other groups as well. The nurturing that you gave our family meant so much. It meant a lot to me and Susan that you would take our kids in and make them feel right at home and minister to them. That was really something very special. That always endeared us to the Cape Cod Church. Well, to wrap this up, where we went from here was Kentucky-Tennessee Conference in Nashville. And there, like I said, our son Jeff just graduated from 8th grade here. Well, we moved down there because Madison Academy was available for our boys to go to, and so they were able to go to Madison Academy. Then from there, we enjoyed New England so much, we came back, this time to northern New England. Amen. And, and we enjoyed our time there. And in fact, it's interesting that there's two pastors, former pastors of Cape Cod, that pastored two churches that I had as well. We have Cliff, who pastored there in Concord and Laconia. I pastored also in Concord and Laconia. Mark Gagnon pastored in Norwalk in Waterville, Maine, and I pastored also in Norwalk and Waterville, Maine. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it? And that's amazing. So from New England, we went to Florida, and we spent the last 24 years of our ministry in Florida, in Bradenton, Fort Myers, and Fort Pierce during that time. We retired in 2017 to Chattanooga, Tennessee, to be near our daughter and her family. And my time is almost up, right? Okay, so thank you so much. Congratulations, folks, for thank you. Congratulations for doing so well in presenting the gospel to so many. Pastor.
I don't know about you, but I think I could listen to him all evening. I love the way you have redone your sanctuary here. But it reminds me of a story. There was a man who came to the church looking for $50 so he could get a bus ride back to someplace. And so I looked at him, and we had just bought some extension rods and things for cleaning the windows. So I said, if you'll clean the windows for 5 hours, I'll give you $50. So I gave him all the equipment, went back to the parsonage to get something, came back in an hour and a half, and he was sitting out here on the grass. And I said, what's the story? How much have you done? Have you finished it all already? Oh, he said, this equipment doesn't work. So I got the equipment, and I washed one window real quick. It worked fine. I said, you don't get your $50. And I gave him $10, and I sent him on his way. Well, that's one of the things I learned here at Cape Cod. I use that again down in Virginia, by the way. We came in 1986 from our first district where there had been a church split, and it was hard time. We were glad to come to Cape Cod where everybody was a saint. And there's complete harmony and no problems. No, we really did have a good time here with lots of support from everybody and so many loving relationships. And it was a great church for our kids. That was important to us. They were just in elementary school. In fact, this was the first school that they had been students of, other than homeschool with Sue. And they had a great time, and with Pathfinders, like George has mentioned, everything. Just so many good things for young families here. It was just a perfect place for us. And we remember fond things. We think about the Sabbath walks on Chapin Beach. Remember those, some of you? Remember Ed and Tanya and the others? Of course, our son, being what he is, most of us parents were saying, no, don't get in the water. Well, Jeff would push all the kids into the water. So then we're in the water, so we might as well have a good time. And then there were the Vespers at Sandy Neck. And, something I did here in the church, we had children's stories. So I did children's stories that would end, I was doing the story of the biography of Joseph Bates, Captain Joseph Bates. And I would end the story right before some dramatic thing happened. And so we called them the cliffhangers. And they had to come back next week to hear more of the story. Let's see. Nathan Latimer. He was just getting into elementary school, and he was so small. And he was so upset about it. But Sue and I had a book for our kids called Nate the Great. So Sue and I called him Nate the Great. And I talked to him one day. I said, Nate, I guess we called him Nathan. I said, Nathan, don't be discouraged about your size. Because my younger brother, when he was growing up in elementary school, he was the shortest in the family by far. And we thought he was going to be like my short grandfather on my mother's side. But when he got to be 15 or 16, all of a sudden he shot up and he was 2 inches taller than me. And I said, so Nathan, who knows, maybe that will happen for you. Well, guess what? Nathan got to be the tallest. Isn't he the tallest of the three? Yeah, he's Nate the Great. Now, sometimes when you learn spiritual things in a place, it's not what your abilities are. Sometimes it's what your abilities aren't. Some of you believe in spiritual gifts in the Bible. Well, it's good not only to know what your spiritual gifts are, it's also good to know what your spiritual gifts are not. The first big event that happened in the Cape Cod Church when we moved here was something that had been planned for months before we got here, and that was a big evangelistic crusade. A voice of prophecy evangelist was coming. Do you remember his name? Joe Melashenko. And Joe Melashenko, he had a beautiful bass voice, and he had been an evangelist for 40 years or something. And this was to be his last evangelistic crusade of his whole career. And so we went all out. We did the 5-day stop smoking plans, and we did the blood pressure clinics and the cooking classes and all the seminars and everything. And so we had the series down. I think it was the Holiday Inn, wasn't it? And Joe Melashenko came, and he's preaching good and had his slides and everything. And we had people come. We had about 45 people from the public come. And after 2 weeks, he looked at the attendance record. We did not have one person who came consistently to the meetings. And so he looked at it at the third week. We still did. And so he left. He said, Cliff, you take over the last week of meetings. I'm out of here. And we didn't, I don't think we had one baptism from that whole series of meetings. We put so much money and time and effort into it. And I got the hint that I didn't have the gift of evangelism. Pardon me? And I've done evangelism in Oregon, I've done it in Virginia, and I've done it in Romania, and I've done it in El Salvador, and I haven't had any baptisms. Now, I think I have the gift of pastoring and teaching, but I don't have the gift of evangelism. Oh, I lost my notes. Let's get them back up here. So don't be discouraged if you don't have some gift that other people have. You have the gift that the Lord wants for you. Don't try to be somebody else. Be you. And the Lord will use you in a wonderful way. Well, I remember the visits in the homes. And I don't know if Charlie remembers. Where are you, Charlie? I don't see you in the back. Oh, there you are. By the way, Charlie's timing efforts here reminds me of something. When we were here in the Cape Cod church, our kids were in elementary school age, and they both got, digital watches came out at that time. And do you know what you could do with a digital watch? You could put it on for an alarm. Guess what time both kids put their alarm on for? 12 o'clock Sabbath morning. So when I'm in the middle of my sermon, and 12 o'clock comes, beep, 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 and they point to their watch. And so we did that. He's absolutely to Virginia so she could go to Shenandoah Valley Academy. And of course, I went to a mission trip in Romania with Jeff on his last year at the academy. And then we moved to Oregon. Both kids went to PUC, Pacific Union College. So we moved out there to be nearer them. But 6 months later, Nicole goes to graduate school. Guess where she goes? To Yale. So we're 3,000 miles from her again. And then Jeff was at PUC for 2 years, but then he got a scholarship to go to the University of Hawaii to play volleyball for him. So one side, 3,000 miles on the other side. What can you do? Don't follow. Incorporating that, foster children.
I baptized and became an Adventist and joined this